Experience the future of packaging and processing up close and in action. Explore groundbreaking innovations, engage with hands-on solutions, and connect with the experts transforming the industry. See how these advancements can revolutionize your products, production lines, and business. It all starts here. Don't miss out. Register today at packexpolasvegas.com/unpackedpod. You're listening to Unpacked with PMMI, where we share the latest packaging and processing industry insights, research, and innovations to help you advance your business. Hi, and welcome to Unpacked with PMMI. I'm your host, Sean Riley, Senior Director for Media and Industry Communications for PMMI, and this is Bridging the Skills Gap, how to launch your own manufacturing day. Anyone who works, lives in, reads about, or knows anyone in manufacturing has probably heard by now that finding skilled workers is getting close to a full-blown crisis. At a time when people are clamoring for good jobs, good high-paying jobs with benefits and things that have legitimate career paths, there's still hundreds of thousands of manufacturing jobs like those in packaging and processing that remain unfulfilled. Today, we have not one, but two guests on the podcast. Brian Ormanic, applications engineer at ARPAC, a Duravan company, and our very own Kate Fioriante, which I hope I said right, senior education manager at PMMI. Brian and Kate, welcome, and say hello to our dozens or hundreds of listeners.
Thanks, Sean. Good to be here, and thanks for having me.
Yep, thanks, Sean. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Now, Brian has a unique story to tell about his entry into manufacturing, and it's actually probably pretty common for how people end up in this industry. But before we get into that, he's also a huge proponent and participant in Manufacturing Day at ARPAC. With that in mind, I thought that would be a good way to kick this all off by, just throwing out what exactly is Manufacturing Day?
Yeah, sure. Be happy to talk about that. Manufacturing Day is a day in October where manufacturers across the country and in Canada too, across North America, they're encouraged to open their doors to kids, to people, to anyone that's interested in manufacturing and might consider a job. Like you said, it's important to have good talent in any organization, and there's certainly a skills gap and a shortage of good people with all the productivity we have ahead of us. So Manufacturing Day is put on by the National Association of Manufacturing, and it's free to sign up on the website. You create a profile and sit back and wait for people to hopefully find you and register to visit and tour your facility.
I'm not gonna lie to you, it sounds like a lot of work. Like, what if I'm a manufacturing company? While I know I want the payoff of talent, or to showcase the industry, how difficult is this going to be for me to pull this off?
No, it's super easy. In fact, I pretty much do it on my own.
Then it has to be pretty easy then.
Exactly. Here's the steps. You go to the website, which is MFG Day, short for Manufacturing Day.com, and you sign up your company for the event. You create a simple profile with a warm, welcoming message is recommended. Make it sound fun and inviting, and tell people what to expect, and who will host the event. In this case, it's been me. I've been doing it for several years and plan to continue to do so. In that profile, you describe what your company does and what you make at your place. And I suggest you do it in a way that will inspire curiosity and excitement. In other words, entice people to visit. Don't just say we make this and we have this many people. It should be interesting because they're looking at different options of where to visit. They only have one day, and if you work at a good place, you want them to visit you. I'll say once posted, people can find your event using search by location or name. If they know the name of a company, they can find you that way, or they could just search by state and city, and then they'll be able to just click on the icons and see a little bit about the company and choose to visit. If they choose to visit, it's easy for people to register. They just fill in their name and description of the group and how many, and some contact info. And then as a host, I get an email that describes who wants to visit. And then it's up to me to make contact and arrange for that visit. And usually it's for about an hour. The tours are, for a half hour is what I do. I just do a quick one. Others could get more in depth for like a half a day with video and PowerPoints and introducing many people. For me, what we build is the cool part, so I just like to show them around and give them a quick view.
So with that in mind, is that, and you might have already said this, and I apologize if you did. If you did, are you targeting all age groups? Are you targeting people that are of the job age, or people that are in high school that might be thinking about this, people that are in college who might be engineering, people that are older that might be looking at a different type of career? If I stumble upon Manufacturing Day in ARPAC, like what's the audience that you're targeting?
Yeah, good question. Really, anybody. To be quite honest, it's been kind of slow. I've gotten a couple of groups, but not many. So maybe in the future, when people are clamoring to get in, I could be more selective.
Right.
But yeah, if you go to mfgday.com, type in ARPAC, that's ARPAC, anyone can see for themselves. There's probably last year's. In fact, I have to go and renew it for this year. But I'm looking at the invitation or the description of ARPAC, and it says, I say, this invitation is primarily for students interested in manufacturing and engineering jobs. And then I say, others may be welcome. Please register or call to discuss.
Okay.
So I leave it up to who's out there and who wants to visit.
Right. And you obviously are enthusiastic about the industry because you're willing to do this, to bring people into your plan. Obviously, it's part of your job, but you're doing it, with a smile on your face, for lack of a better description. How did you get wrapped up in this manufacturing industry, packaging and processing type operation, where something like a manufacturing day might have helped you, whether at the high school or the college level?
Yeah, good question for sure. And actually, I'll credit PMMI for getting me involved in giving back to the community and students and signing up for things like Manufacturing Day. But I first got into it, like you said, probably common to what other people heard. I was pretty good in math and science and not very good in other subjects because they were boring. So I just liked math because it was like a puzzle, and once I figured it out, it worked. And then science was kind of applying that to what happens around you. I would say my first interest was in drafting. In high school, I took a drafting class, and I thought it was really cool just to visualize how engineers or how things are made by anybody, a designer, architect, where drawings are, a top view, a side view, and you could see, how an idea, a design goes on paper, and that gets communicated to other people and get built. So that was my first interest in that. It was first, paper and ink drafting. That was a while ago. And then just got started to be introduced into CAD, which was actually kind of laughable. It was like some kind of Macintosh. The screen was like 8 inches, and it was black with green lines and dots. So very primitive, just a hair more advanced than an Etch-a-Sketch. Then I would say I found my way into manufacturing, through engineering. I knew I wanted to build things, and engineers design things. Went to through school, got interested there. School was really theoretical, which was kind of one of the knocks that I had, but they prepare you for everything you might encounter in life. There's so many different jobs. They just have to prepare you to learn and understand things.
Right.
So anyways, I got into manufacturing, and I would say what really got my interest was I got a weird job offer that I took, working at the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago. I was, I heard about the offer from our pneumatics company, and they were looking for a real live engineer to go to work in the museum to help them figure out what this exhibit about manufacturing should be. So I applied for the job and was thrilled to show up at the Museum of Science and Industry. I had helicopters and trains and fighter pilots hanging from the ceiling of my office for about 2 years. Uh, Really, really cool place to work. So it was sponsored by Rockwell Automation and ITW, and they knew for being in manufacturing that you can't just assign an exhibit developer to learn about engineering and manufacturing for a couple months, which is what they typically do when they come up with a new exhibit. They have a research, phase, and they just assign someone to it. Their partners, said, "Yeah, you better get a real engineer." So they couldn't find anyone else, so I took the job. And it was spectacular. And I helped them. Should it be about history of manufacturing? Should it be about modern and the future of manufacturing and the jobs? And that's what we focused on, was the jobs and the future. And once I saw these machines and robots and the electronics, how you automate a machine and program and automate a task, I was hooked. So after working there, they needed to raise some more money. They weren't ready to proceed with the exhibit. So my work was done there, creating what it should be about. And I jumped back into one of the companies that I found out about along the way, in doing the research in automation there. And I went to go work for an automated assembly and test company. Started doing spare parts and counting up, holes in plates to figure out how much it should cost. And working my way up to stations and machines. And pretty soon I was quoting, $1 million machines and really, really enjoying what I was doing. So about a year later, the museum came back and said, "Hey, we've got our funding now. The product has changed. We want you to build an assembly cell that would make this product," which was a toy top that you can pick a color and it'll laser mark the date that you visited the museum and package it for you so you can take home. So that was a great life experience. And by then, I was already about a year or two into my automated assembly career, and I worked on that machine, and it came out pretty close to the way I expected. And that exhibit's been open for more than 10 years now. Usually, a permanent exhibit is 3 to 5 years, but that one's successful, and a lot of people receive a lot of inspiration, so they keep it going and updating, and it's going on, I think, 11 years now.
Oh, really cool. And that, not to interrupt you, but that kind of points to this issue that we hear a lot, with people associate manufacturing with, like the 1800s or the early 1900s, where you're in a dirty factory and things aren't safe and it's dark and it's dingy and you're doing the same repetitive task over and over again, as opposed to how, like you've just explained, how much it touches on all these different, first of all, cool industries, plus just the robotics and the automation of it and all the different working parts, that I don't know, it's not your grandfather's factory or manufacturing plant, I guess, for lack of a better way of explaining it. So that was probably a really good way, and probably still is, which is why it's probably still there, of really painting manufacturing how it is today, as opposed to maybe the misconception that's out there about it. That fair to say?
That's true, yeah, for sure. And that was the mission of both working at the museum, and the mission of Manufacturing Day is
Right.
to inspire people and show them what they don't see. A couple of things that we focus ideas, the big ideas in developing that exhibit apply here. You mentioned one of the Ds. We had the 3 Ds. Manufacturing, the old perception is that it's dirty, dull, and dangerous.
Right.
People, not everyone wants to work there. That's changed quite a lot. And I'm just looking outside my window and I see a clean shop that's well lit, and beautiful machines that are producing millions of products a year. And we use robots, yes, but we also use simple mechanisms, and everything is tied together with electronics. And with the computers weren't really around too long ago. When I started my job, I was the first one in the office on Windows 95. And what you can do on a laptop now, and what our programmers do. The machine is built, and the machines haven't changed a lot. Still have motors and cranks and air cylinders and gears, chains. That hasn't changed when you think over the course of maybe 100 years. Um, but what has changed is what you can do with computers. Programming them using vision, programming robots, the electronics, the hardware that go faster and better and more reliable. That has all come out in my time in my career in the last 20 years. So yes, absolutely right. There's a lot of great jobs, and that's what I see, and that's what I do have a smile on my face when people come through and go, "Wow, we had no idea this was here." And then they see we've got a lot of younger people, kind of young kids, in jeans and wearing ball caps. They're programming a machine that costs $1 million. And once students see that or people understand that, they think they want to do that.
It's a way of it because I've heard whether it was one of PMMI's, it probably was one of PMMI's, whether it was the ELC or one of the events where they've started talking about how as the engineers are coming into the field now and there's more people they're choosing engineer as a profession, you're kind of, with everything being automated and computerized and robotics, you're not necessarily competing with other packaging and processing companies. I mean, you're competing with Apple and Ford and stuff like that are all working on these lines that are automated. And that also goes back to manufacturing day as a way that you need to be able to showcase that we're up to par with these sort of well-known brands, and these jobs, you're working with the same sort of stuff that they are there.
For the first time, PMMI members and PAC Expo exhibitors can gain a true insight into the competitive marketing landscape within the packaging and processing industries. See real data from PMMI Media Group campaigns on engagement from validated, verified end users, including the amount of captured leads and even how PAC Expo booth visits align with pre-show marketing. You'll also get a full view of campaign strategies in market across all 12 months for competitors in your product category with variations by channel. This kind of intel has never been available before. Request your custom competitive analysis report now at pmmi.media/CAR. That's pmmi.media/CAR.
Yeah, I would agree. And actually, another thing that we, see opportunity for automation is in finding people to do the work. Yes, in manufacturing and packaging and processing, we need talented people to work, design, and program and execute these automated machines. But our customers are coming to us, especially for palletizing and difficult jobs. If you're lifting a heavy case and placing it up high over your head on a pallet, that's not a great job. And a lot of our customers come to us and say, I'm the plant manager, but I spend more time in HR just trying to find people to show up again. I feel like an HR person. It's all about trying to get people to just show up on first shift, let alone second or third in small remote areas. So automation is filling, that gap, and it's becoming faster and stronger and lower in cost. So, where before it would be too expensive and you just have 3 people doing it. Now it really makes sense if you have a good solution. So we see that a lot as well. Plus, the other thing I'll say is an important point about automation, and it shatters the perception of, well, we're putting robots in to replace people. No,
Absolutely, yeah.
Our customers have a successful product, and that's the beauty of automation. Just like Henry Ford, when you have something that people want, you have to make a lot of them. So you either do that with a lot of people, and that's inefficient and takes up space, or you automate. And so it's very, I take a lot of pride in seeing our customers and how they grow a product. I'm an application engineer, so when I see a product that, hey, I buy that in Costco, or I see that all over, that's a good product, or it's a hot new product, that's great. That customer has something that's successful, and they need to automate so that they could, provide that to the people.
And I've also heard where the people that are on the, that might be on the operating floor now, that might be, for either they're going to be using this automation, which is going to enhance their skill level, or it's going to bump them up to take on tasks, that are that better fit, a human's brain and interaction versus, lifting and placing. It's going to more take advantage of, what they're bringing to the table and their skill set than, stuffing things into a bag for 9 hours a day.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And another point to make is, again, with you automate when you have a high volume of product, a successful product that has taken off, especially in today's world with contract packagers and manufacturers, and everyone wants organic and small brands. We're not all buying from the big brands anymore. People want variety and something different and healthy. So that spurred all kinds of variety and low volume. There's lower volume when you have more options. So one customer comes to mind. We automated maybe 80-90%, the 80-20 rule of what their established and high volume products are, but they still have short runs for new customers or things that they're trying. So when in a case where we automate the majority of the factory, yes, they have to hire new people or train new people to be able to handle that automation, which is a good thing. But they also very often take those workers, the people that were doing everything manually, and they move them into small volume, short run, contract package type of operations, and that's a good thing as well. People are valuable everywhere, so I haven't really seen where it would be uncomfortable if, hey, my company comes in and automates. We've gotten rid of all those people. It's usually they're fine. They find other roles because there's variety, and it's usually a growing business when they automate, so they need those people elsewhere.
Right, and it's making everybody happier at the end of the day, employees included. I know, which we didn't really touch on, but I'm pretty sure Kate can loop back in and help us out on this, is that one of the things with Manufacturing Day is it, regardless of, even though you're able to do it, there has to be some, money that has to be spent on it. So I'm going to loop Kate back in because I know there's some ways that PMMI can help or has helped, inform people about Manufacturing Day and even possibly offered some funds that can help them do it.
Yeah, Sean, so you're right. There are definitely costs associated with Manufacturing Day, whether it be providing lunches, drinks for people who are showing up, or if you want to have a group of school students come, they have to incur costs with bus and transportation. So one thing that PMI has initiated this year is our PMI Youth Skills Fund. That's really just a matching dollar for dollar investment that PMI will make with these member companies to help make their dollars go a little bit further. So like I said, if a PMI member company wanted to get students to have the bus for the students and it's $1,000, PMI would match 500 of that. So it's a matching donation. You can definitely find more about that at pmi.org/skills-fund. But it is just a way for those funds to go a little bit further.
Perfect. How about, like I know from talking to Brian earlier, how about say you want to target, specific schools. You want kids that have engineering backgrounds to come to your Manufacturing Day. Is there any, what does PMMI have that might help in that situation?
Yeah, PMMI, we have built a network of education partners across North America. So those range from high schools that have robotics teams all the way to 2- and 4-year college and universities that offer engineering programs, mechatronic programs, and that's something that we have. Some of the schools are listed on our website, others we just have connections with. So anybody who wants to reach out, they can reach out to PMIU, and we'll be more than happy to connect them with those local contacts.
Love it. I don't know that I have much more to add. I like to thank Brian and thank Kate. You've really presented an ideal blueprint, not only to how to pull off Manufacturing Day, but kind of why a company should have Manufacturing Day and why people should be getting more involved in manufacturing. I am thinking that, as Kate just mentioned, some of the schools with the robotics and the the colleges, they are also a bunch of those partner schools, and some of the robotics high schools teams are or will be at PAC Expo Las Vegas in September. So if you are planning to attend that, that's something where you can actually see some of those in action, or touch base with some of the students that actually participate from those schools. So again, I guess visit mfgday.com if you want to get started in Manufacturing Day. Any questions, email pmmiu@pmmi.org. And otherwise, Brian, I'd like to say thank you. Kate, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. You're welcome. My pleasure to be here. And I just wanted to add the Manufacturing Day, the first one was 7 years ago in 2012. And I didn't get a chance to say, but for anybody that's remotely interested, give it a try, because it's giving back to everybody and creating opportunities for kids to get great careers in our industry. It's a growing event. I hope to see it continue to grow, and I'm doing my part to participate. Last year, there were 275,000 people that participated and 3,000 Manufacturing Day events. So do your part, and I encourage everybody to sign up. It's a great experience.
Awesome. I love it. So with that, thank you for listening to Unpacked with PMMI, and be sure to join us next time for more packaging and processing industry insights. Please rate, review, and subscribe. To do that, go to the iTunes podcast or Spotify app on your phone and search for Unpacked with PMMI.